Hello, friends. I am Satish Lele. I am a chemical engineer. I am working in field of piping for last 30 years. This video is part of my chemical process piping channel on YouTube. This video is about valves. Cost of valves can be up to 20 to 30% of the piping cost for a plant, depending on the process. The cost of valves of any particular type and size can vary by 100%, depending on its internal construction. Thus, the selection of valves is extremely important for the economics, as well as operation, of process plants. The process engineer assumes the overall responsibility of establishing process design parameters of temperature, pressure, flow, start-up and shut-down procedures. The size of a valve is determined by the size of its ends which connect to the pipe, generally specified by NP. Port size may be smaller in case of some ball valves. Parts of valve supply: seat, port, stem, bonnet, body, seal and operator. Body. The selection of material to fabricate the interior of the valve body is important. It depends on process chemicals flowing through the valve. There is often a choice with regard to the body and trim. Moving parts like stem, seat and plug ends and valves may be obtained with the entire interior of the body lined with corrosion-resistant material. Valves are connected to pipe, fittings or vessels by their body ends, which may be flanged, screwed, basaltic weld type, or finished for hose or sleeve coupling. Jacketed valves are also available. Seat is the component used directly for stopping and regulating the flow. The non-moving part it bears on is termed as the seat. Depending on the size of the required valve and availability, selection of stem type can be based on whether it is undesirable for the conveyed fluid to be in contact with the thread-bearing surface, whether an exposed screw is liable to be damaged by abrasive atmospheric dust, whether it is necessary to see whether the valve is open or closed. Stem. There are two types of screw stems, the rising stem and non-rising stem. These are moved by hand wheel. Rising stem generally for gate and globe valves are made either with inside screw or outside screw OS. The OS type has a yoke on the bonnet and the assembly is referred to as outside screw and yoke OS and Y. The hand wheel can either rise with the stem, or the stem can rise to the hand wheel. Non-rising stem valves are only of gate type. The hand wheel and the stem are in the same position whether the valve is open or closed. The screw is inside the bonnet and is in contact with conveyed fluid. The floor stand is a stem extension for use with both types of stem, where it is necessary to operate the valve to a floor or platform. Alternately, rods fitted with universal joints may be used to bring a valve hand wheel within an operator's reach. In addition to these, most other valves have a simple rotary stem. Rotary, ball, plug, and butterfly valves have a rotary stem which is moved by a permanent lever or tool applied to a square box at the end of the stem. The stem can be moved manually or driven hydraulically, pneumatically or electrically, under remote or automatic control, or mechanically by weighted lever, springs, etc. Port is maximum internal opening for flow when valve is fully open. The moving part directly affecting the flow is termed as disc, regardless of its shape. Discs may be actuated by conveyed fluid or moved by stem having a linear, rotary or helical movement. Bonnet. There are three basic types of attachments for valve bonnets: bolted, screwed including union and breech lock. The bolted bonnet has largely displaced screwed and union bonnet valves in hydrocarbon application. Union bonnets are more suitable for small valves requiring frequent dismantling than the simple screw type. The U-bolt or clamp type bonnet is offered on some small gate valves or moderate pressures to facilitate frequent cleaning and inspection. The screws on it may occasionally stick and turn when a valve is opened. Although sticking is less of a problem with the union-type bonnet, valves with screw bonnets are best reserved for services presenting no fire hazard or hazard to personnel. The pressure seal is a variation of bolted bonnet used for high-pressure valves, usually combined with OS and Y construction. It makes use of line pressure to tighten and seal an internal metal ring or gasket against the body. The critical factor for valves used for process chemicals is the lubrication of the stem. Care needs to be taken for selection of packing, gland design, and choice of lubricant. As an option, the bonnet may include a lantern ring which serves two purposes: either to act as a collection point to drain off any hazardous slippages, or as a point where lubricant can be ejected. The breech lock is a heavier, infrequently used, and more expensive construction, also for high-pressure use, and involves seal welding of the bonnet with the body. If high vacuum or corrosive, flammable or toxic fluid is to be handled, the disc or spin may be sealed by metal bellows, or by a flexible diaphragm termed pack-lash construction. Gasket seal. In most stem-operated valves, whether the stem has rotary or linear movement, packing bolt seals are used between stem and bonnet or body. The gasket is used as seal between bolted bonnet and valve body. Flanged valves use gaskets to seal against the line flanges. Butterfly valves may extend the resilient seat to also serve as line gaskets. The pressure seal bonnet joint utilizes the pressure of conveyed fluid to tighten the seal. Valves are connected to pipes, fitting for vessels by their ends. These can be flanged, butt weld, socket weld, or screwed. Operator is a device which opens or closes the valve. Different devices are available, like manual operators or powered operators. Hand lever is used to actuate the stems of small butterfly, ball, plug valves, and cups. French operation is used for cocks and small flood valves. Hand wheel is the most common means of rotating the stem on the majority of popular smaller valves such as gate, globe, and diaphragm. Additional operating toward for gate and globe valves is offered by hammer blow or impact hand wheels, which may be substituted for normal hand wheels if easier operation is needed, but where gearing is unnecessary. Chain is used where a hand wheel would be out of reach. The stem is fitted with a chain wheel or wrench for every operated valve, and the group of the chain is brought within 1 meter of working floor level. Universal type chain wheels which attach a regular hand wheel have been blamed for accidents in corrosive atmospheres. Where an infrequently operated valve is stuck, the attaching bolts have been known to fail. This problem does not arise with the chain wheel that replaces the regular valve hand wheel. gears are used to reduce the operating torque. For manual operation, it consists of a hand wheel operated gear train actuating the valve stem. As a guide, gear operators should be considered for valves of 350 mm ND and larger up to 300 psi, 200 mm ND and larger up to 600 psi, 150 mm ND and larger up to 1500 psi, and 100 mm ND and larger for higher ratings. Electric gear motor. The valve stem is moved by gear motor. This is useful for operating large valves in remote areas. Solenoid. These can be used for fast-acting check valves, and with on-off valves in light-duty instrumentation applications. Pneumatic and hydraulic operator. These may be used where flammable vapor is likely to be present. They are of following forms: cylinder with double-acting piston, driven by air, water, oil, or other liquids, which usually actuates the stem directly. Air motor, which actuates the stem through gearing. Commonly these motors are piston type and radial cylinder type. A double-acting vane with lateral movement in case of gate and globe, which actuates the stem directly. Squeeze type. Gate valve. There are different types of gate valves. This is most commonly used valve. Larger size valve called sluice valve. These are used for on-off type of operation. These are also called as block valves. These can have a rising stem or non-rising stem. Plug valve. It has a cylindrical or tapered plug in the body. Its advantage is that it is compact and quarter-turn valve. The tapered plug tends to jam and requires high operating torque. This is overcome to some extent by low-friction Teflon feet. It can be lubricated. Lubrication has a drawback that it may contaminate the conveyed fluid. It is mainly used for water, oil, slurries, or gases as quick closing valves. It is used as on-off and control of flow. Globe valve. There are different types of globe valves. These are generally used for flow control. It has a higher pressure drop due to flow pattern. Blow-off valve. It confirms boiler codes. Y and angle types are often used. It is used to remove air and other gases from boilers. It is manually operated. Stop check valve. Its principal use is in steam lines. With steam generation by multiple boilers, it can be closed automatically or manually. Needle valve is small valve used for flow control and for dosing liquids and gases. Resistance to flow is precisely controlled by a relatively larger seat area and the adjustment afforded by fine threading of the stem. Squeeze valve is well suited to regulating the flow of difficult liquids, slurries, and powders. Maximum closure is about 80%, which limits the range of regulation, unless the variation of this type of valve with a central quarter seat is used, offering full closure. Pinch valve is also suited to regulating flow of difficult liquids, slurries, and powders. Complete closure is possible, but tends to rapidly wear the flexible tube, unless it is of special design. Ball valve has advantages which are low operating torque, availability in large sizes, rotary 90-degree stem movement, compactness, and inline ability to replace all wearing parts in some designs. Possible disadvantages are that liquid is trapped within the body and within the ball on closure, and that compensation effort is affected only by resilient material behind the seat. The Lele is avoided in single-seat eccentric version, which has the ball slightly offset so that it presses into the seat on closure. Principal uses are for water, oil, slurries, gases, and vacuum. Valve is available with a ball having a shaped port for regulation. It can have full port or reduced port. Ball, plug, and butterfly valves have rotary stem, which is moved by permanent lever or by wrench applied to square off fat end of stem. Butterfly valves. This offers advantage of rotary stem movement degree or less, compactness and absence of pocketing. It is available in all sizes, and can be produced in chemical resistant and hygienic forms. The valves are used for gases, liquids, slurries, powders, and vacuum. The usual resilient plastic seat has a temperature limitation, but tight closure at high temperatures is available with a version having metal ring seal around the disc. Wafer valve is held by flanges of any type. Slip-on and screw flanges do not bore the proper seal with some wafer type of the valve, in which the resilient seat is extended to serve. Also add line gasket. Check valve. There are different types of check valves. It is also called non-return valve. It allows flow only in one direction. It is installed on pump discharge line. It automatically shuts off in case of reverse flow. Wafer check valve. It affects closures, latches, and the circular doors, both used to a central post in a ring-shaped body which is installed between flanges. It is frequently used for non-boiling liquids, as it is compact and relatively low cost. A single disc type is also available. It is used widely in the discharge line of a pump. Ball check valve. It is suitable for most services. The valve can handle gases, vapors, and liquids, including those forming gummy deposits. The ball sits by gravity or back pressure, and is free to rotate, which distributes weight and aids in keeping contacting surfaces clean. Mostly used in vertical pipelines. Piston check valve has a lifting disc. It has less pounding with frequent changes in flow direction. Spring-loaded valve can operate in any orientation. It is not suitable for gritty liquids. Lift check valve. The disc is guided and it rises upward with fluid pressure and closes by gravity. It can be installed horizontally or vertically with springs provided to push the disc back. Swing check valve. The regular swing check valve is not suitable if there is frequent flow reversal as pounding and wearing of disc occurs. For gritty liquids, a composition disc is advisable to reduce damage to the seat. It may be mounted vertically with upward flow or horizontally. Tilting disc valve is suitable where frequent flow reversal occurs. Valve closes rapidly with better closure and with less slamming than a swing check valve, which it somewhat resembles. It can be installed vertically with upward flow or horizontally. Foot valve. It is typically used to maintain a column of water on suction side of a pump. The valve is basically a lift check valve with an integrated strainer. Diverting valves. Two types of diverting valves are made. Both switch flow from a line into orbit to outlet. One type is a Y pattern, which has a hinge disc at the junction which closes one of the two outlets, and is used to handle powders and other solids. The second type handles liquids only, and has no moving parts. Flow is switched by two pneumatic control lines. It is available up to 150 mm and deep. Multi-port valve is used largely on hydraulic and pneumatic control circuits and sometimes used directly in process piping. These valves have rotary ball or plug type discs with one or more ports arranged to switch flow. Ball float valve. These automatic valves are used in steam traps to remove condensate water from the system, to remove air from liquid systems, and as vacuum breaker or breather valves. It is widely used to control liquid level in coolant water tank. Ball float valve automatically regulates the flow and maintains constant level in a service reservoir or elevated tank. It consists of a valve connected to a hollow sealed float by means of a rigid bar, which is mounted on the top of the tank. The valve is connected to the incoming supply. It works on principle of maintaining the level of free water surface. A float valve allows water to flow until a predetermined level is reached. Once water reaches predetermined level, float will rise with water due to buoyancy and stop the flow of water. As water level drops, the valve will open to refill the tank. Safety valve. There are different types of safety valves. These are rapidly opening valves. It has a popping action. Full flow valve is used for air and other gases. It is mounted vertically. The release valve is used to relieve excess pressure in liquids or steam, in situations where full flow discharge is not required, when release of small volumes of liquid would rapidly lower pressure. It is mounted vertically. Its outlet is of bigger size than inlet because volume of fluid in outlet is much higher than inlet, especially in case of steam, due to reduction in pressure. A pressure release valve is a safety device designed to protect a pressurized vessel or system during an overpressure event. An overpressure event refers to any condition which would cause pressure in a vessel or system to increase beyond the specified design pressure or maximum allowable working pressure. The primary purpose of a pressure release valve is protection of life and property by venting fluid from an overpressurized vessel. Many electronic, pneumatic and hydraulic systems exist today to control fluid system variables, such as pressure, temperature and flow. Each of these systems requires a power source of some type, such as electricity or compressed air, in order to operate. A pressure release valve must be capable of operating at all times, especially during a period of power failure when system controls are non-functional. The sole source of power for the pressure release valve, therefore, is the process fluid. Temperature safety valve will lift excess pressure of either gas or liquid which may suddenly develop a vapor phase due to rapid and uncontrolled heating from chemical reaction in liquid-laden vessels. It lifts up due to sudden change in temperature in the valve. The valve is usually a closing element in a heating system, but it is fitted with a thermostat. In the normal course of events, the valve will simply continue to be closed and maintain the integrity of the system. If something goes wrong and the system starts to overheat, the thermostat in the valve will react, and if the temperature rises high enough, will push the valve open and release the pressure that is always associated with excess heat. You will find pressure release valves on any hot water tanks associated with boilers. Line blanch valve. This is a positive shut-off device which basically consists of a flange assembly sandwiching the spectacle plate or blind. It is used where spectacle blind needs to be installed and removed frequently. The line blanch valve is permanently installed into a pipeline. The valve's internal cam mechanism allows to change the plate from open to closed position within a minute. As soon as the pipeline is drained, the cam mechanism can be opened by turning the screw or hand wheel. The spectacle plate can be turned and positioned, and finally the cam mechanism can be closed again by closing the hand wheel. Their primary use is to completely close off the downstream portion of a pipeline in a safe way. They are frequently found in the petrochemical, steel, pulp and paper, maritime and oil and refinery industries. They are often referred to as spectacle blinds, spectacle plate or paddle blinds. Flush bottom valve is usually installed on the bottom of the tanks for vessels. These are usually globe-type valves, designed to minimize pocketing, primarily for convenient discharging of liquids with suspended solids in it from the low point of a tank. The regulating part is like inverted buckets and it sits deep in the bottom nozzle. It goes into the vessel. When opened, it is used for slurry material in the vessel. Sampling valve. It is a valve usually with needle or globe pattern, placed in a branch line for the purpose of drawing off samples of processed materials through a branch. Sampling from very high-pressure lines is best done through a double-valved collecting vessel. A cooling arrangement may be needed for sampling from high-temperature lines. Control valve. It automatically regulates pressure, temperature, and flow rate, and is available for any pressure. Control valves are defined as valves that open and close in response to signals that are monitoring a specific process variable. If there are different system pressures, it'll plant up to and including 300 psi. Sometimes all control valves chosen will be rated at 300 psi for interchangeability. The size of control valve is usually chosen to be smaller than size of the pipeline to avoid throttling and consequent rapid wear of the seat. Reducers are required in pipeline. Globe pattern valves are normally used for control, and their ends are usually flanged for ease of maintenance. The disc is moved by hydraulic, pneumatic, electrical or mechanical actuator. Pressure regulating valve are control valves of globe type, which adjust downstream pressure of liquid or gas including steam or vapor to a lower desired value called set pressure. Pressure regulators are self-contained valve and actuator combinations that limit flow through the restricting element to match flow demand downstream. The desired performance of a regulator is to meet any. Breather valve is a special self-acting valve installed on storage tanks, long-distance pipelines, etc., to release air or gas accumulated inside. Breather valves are also known as direct-acting pressure or vacuum release valves. These are special types of release valves which are specifically designed for protection of tanks. The range includes pressure only, vacuum only, and combined pressure and vacuum valves, all available with flange outlets or vented to atmosphere. Pressure and vacuum release valves are used extensively on bulk storage tanks, including fixed tube tanks with floating covers, to minimize evaporation loss. The valves prevent the build-up of excessive pressure or vacuum which can unbalance the system or damage the storage vessel. Pressure and vacuum protection levels are controlled with weighted pallet or springs and can be combined to provide the required pressure/vacuum settings. It is common to combine pallet and spring systems in one unit, i.e. pressure settings require a spring section, whilst the vacuum settings use the pallet method. Jacketed valve. The jacket covers the body from one flange to the other flange. The body is modified by adding oversized flanges. As example, 2-inch by 3-inch jacketed ball valve has the nominal bore of 2-inch or 50 MB and the flange size is 3-inch or 80 MB. It allows enough space for holding clearance. The jacking allows consistent valve heating or cooling of the process media to prevent crystallization or seizing of flow media. The jacketed ball valve was very well designed to help the high temperature steam or oil flow over the valve ball and body parts to keep the media liquid. This applies especially to media like bitumen and liquid sulfur. In addition, the efficient flow of media is ensured through the elimination of pockets. Steam can be used as heating media. Following the quality assurance rules, every valve is tested again after the jackets have been welded fabricated to the body. Jacking hydraulic and air test is carried out at 6 kilograms per square centimeter. Generally standard jacketed ball valves are delivered in carbon steel and different types of stainless steel materials. Other special materials are also available upon special request. Jacketed PTFE seated ball valves give zero leakage, tight shutoff and roll to work with easy and smooth operation at temperature ranging from -20 degrees centigrade to +220 degrees centigrade. The electro-polished, gloss finish and ultra-clean valves are also provided for food and pharmaceutical industries on request. Thanks for learning. If you like this video, please give a like to my channel and subscribe it.